Everybody, before we get into tonight's update, we have to go over what we're going to be getting into, like a quick synopsis here. First, we're going to talk about XRP. If once again, is the old adage going to be true, unfortunately, that if XRP is the last one to pump, that it means a wider and broader crypto dump is looming large, and that would include XRP. XRP at one point today topped the 40-cent mark, but we'll see what happened. As the last I checked, we were down under 39 cents, and we're going to see exactly what that means as XRP, we're showing a little bit of bearishness in the 30-minute, falling below the 20-day and having a lot of trouble getting back above it. So we'll go over that. But we're also going to go over something I'm excited about. I have the clip from Brad Garlinghouse from March 2nd. It's about 2 minutes. So we're going to play that right off his Twitter page, so it's easy for everybody to find. And then I also want to go over what he said yesterday. And he kind of took some shots at the SEC. So it's really heating up here. And Brad Garlinghouse is holding no bones now. So it's pretty interesting what he had to say and what he has to say deeper about crypto regulations. In the past, in the recent past, he's talked about how Terra and FTX is a perfect example why there needs to be crypto regulations. And it's not a good idea for the USA to ban cryptos or push them overseas. It would be very bad, or, it's not a good idea for the USA to go that route. And he's very vocal about that. So I have a very interesting 2 minutes to play you with him. But we also have to get very deep into the XRP chart, because again, it's crypto's old adage that if XRP pumps last, there's a crypto dump looming large. That's something that I've noticed over the past 2.5 years, and it's something we continue to talk about, and we talked about it this morning as well, as it looks that once again could be the case. So we're going to look at XRP very deeply. Make sure to hit that like button, as it greatly pushes me through the analytics and it'll allow more people to be in this great community. Again, make sure to hit that like button. I'm going to play the intro, and then we're going to get into what Brad Garlinghouse said, and then we'll look at his Twitter. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you. Hit that like button. Good evening. 7:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So, as you can see, we got a little bit of trouble brewing here as the total crypto market cap's down to $958 billion. We talked about very clearly, if we seen it break that $990 billion, it's a very steep drop, and there's nothing in between, and we very quickly be approaching the $940 billion. And once again, the technical analysis is playing out just as we expected. It would have to at least try to hold this area it came down to, and it was not like it was just yesterday. But we have it on our chart because we know that this is a very critical area, and that's back on February 13th. So it was a few weeks ago, but still, that's where it bounced down, and even further in the pattern we can go into it, but we can see what's happening here. We turn into a topping reversal pattern, and if we lose $940 billion, it's right down to $892. So, I mean, very critical stuff happening here. Very critical. XRP, yeah, look at this. See, it's down to 3862 now. It had this nice pump earlier where it breached 40 cents very briefly to 4017. Hit our resistance, broke down, and we can see this downtrending resistance, which we're using as this falling channel right here. It hasn't got on top of it. And we'll maintain this area right here as long as it continues to ride this zone. We have no choice but to honor it. And it's a short-term falling channel, but it has yet to be able to get on top of it. And even right now, we're literally at the most critical spot right now with XRP. Because if we could create a bearish cross here, I mean, the short-term move is even going to be over. This 388 support that we talked about earlier, that's our S1 on the day. We're actually up to it right now, below it. That was our S1 to start the day if you watch the morning update. So we're fighting with that right now. We're actually at the 3869. A terrible close. We had a terrible close. It came down pretty hard. So, again, is the old adage playing out that if XRP is the last to pump, we have a broader market dump happening. That'll happen. IOTA's under 20 cents. Again, Algo's barely hanging on to 20 cents. We got XLM that's given all its gains back from earlier. It was up to 846, roughly 8.5. little over 8.5. Now it's back down. And we got Bitcoin down under 22,000, closing firmly under 22K. That's a major resistance level where we closed. And we talked about if we had a close under here, or if we were under 21,965, there's not much holding us, and we'd have roughly a 1,000 point drop, actually a 1,000 point drop on the nose, roughly, to the next zone down before we can even try to catch some footing. And you know what's looking like? We're about to have exactly that play out, ladies and gentlemen. We have to be very careful here because we look like catastrophe is about to happen. So I want to play what Brad Garlinghouse had to say, and then we're going to continue on more about this just historical dump that's not just looming. I've been talking about this historical collapse since $1.66. I have to keep talking about it because I don't believe it finishes until Bitcoin is somewhere sub 10K. I know that's hard to take in, but I think Bitcoin has bigger ambitions here, folks. And is it possible that Bitcoin could break this downtrend at 18,000 and ultimately find itself down here at 8,800? I mean, it's looking more and more like we're going to have a big meeting. I'm not saying it's 100% confirmed, but I am saying it's a gigantic possibility. So make sure that like button while I'm playing this video with Brad Garlinghouse.
SEC bringing the case against Ripple was not really just a case about Ripple or about XRP. It's really about the industry and how the SEC is kind of playing offense and attacking the whole industry. 2.5 years ago when this started, I'm not sure everyone fully digested that, and now that is widely understood. This is going to be pivotal for the whole industry because if the SEC is able to prevail, I think there's a lot of other cases, and some of them just in the last 4 weeks, I think they brought 5 additional enforcement cases. The macro headline for me is this is not a healthy way to regulate an industry. Your regulation through enforcement, as opposed to where we're seeing in other countries where they're doing the work, right? They're codifying, they're creating a framework that allows an industry to grow while protecting consumers. And I think that's really what the U.S. is lagging. And to some degree why I'm here in Washington is to continue to try to evangelize and educate. Here's how these technologies can really benefit consumers, benefit industry.
Is what I'm hearing from you essentially, if the U.S. doesn't get its act together and move more quickly, all of this is going offshore. It's just going elsewhere.
Well, it already is. I mean, the sad reality is that the U.S. really is already behind. This is not behind countries that we haven't necessarily heard of. This is behind Australia and behind the UK, Japan, Singapore, Switzerland. There's a lot of countries that have taken the time and thoughtfulness to create that clear rules of the road. By contrast, when I first got involved in the tech industry in the late 90s, some were saying the internet should be banned. They were saying, here's how the internet is being used for illicit purposes. But the U.S. government said, no, we're going to create a framework. And that allowed entrepreneurs, that allowed investors to come in and look at the benefits to the United States on a geopolitical basis to have the Amazons and Googles based in headquartered in the United States. We're at, I think, severe risk of having that not happen in this next evolution of technology around blockchain and crypto. It has already started moving outside the United States. And also, the consumers are suffering because of that, because you don't have the same protections that the U.S. regulatory frameworks can provide.
What would a good framework look like, in your view?
Well, look, I think what you're seeing right now is the Securities and Exchange Commission. If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And not everything here is a nail. And I think any framework has to start with clear protections for consumers, but then to thoughtfully understand that these aren't always going to be securities. Some of them are used as currencies. That is, having an efficient process to trade, exchange, move those things would be much harder in a world if they were regulated as securities.
So that's very interesting what he said there, and I'm glad he said it. It at least gives you a bold look at what he thinks. And that's from March 2nd. And then this is what he said yesterday. And this is the reason why I played that clip, just so that you could see a little more into what he was kind of talking about here. The headwinds keep growing with the SEC declaring war on crypto. Chair Gensler continues to harp that firms simply need to come in and register. But the truth is there's no infrastructure in place for a registered token to trade, nor any clarity as to what these tokens are. If you want to regulate, then regulate. Put in the hard work to build a framework and set guidance, as so many other G20 countries are already doing. The 27 EU member countries can agree on a set of rules with MiCA. What's stopping the U.S.? And then this goes back to 6 days ago, and this is something I alluded to in the opening, and this helps kind of point you why I said this. So Brad Garlinghouse at Kaylee Leans asked if the U.S. doesn't get its act together, is all of this crypto going offshore, it already is. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Crypto moving offshore is not good for American innovation, period, full stop. So very, very bold, and we got to get back into the chart, but I think it's important sometimes to see what Brad Garlinghouse is thinking. Let me know in the comments what you think about this as well. So getting back into here, XRP is down 0.77% since the flip of the clock 16 minutes ago at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as it's 7:16 now here on the East, in the Eastern Time Zone. So XRP is at 3861. So what are we looking at here? And I'm going to keep it simple. Market down. If we break below and hold this 388, we're back within this short-term falling channel, as I've labeled it myself. And isn't it ironic that we're playing these zones perfectly as the channel? So right now, the falling channel, we got 388 at the falling channel resistance is 388. And right now, the falling channel support is at 34 cents. So basically, your range is 34 cents up to 38.8. And whichever one gets supported first, whether we break up and hold or break down, hold the breakdown as resistance instead of support, that's going to give us our ultimate direction of what comes next. And then if we break XRP out a little bit deeper, 3863 on the all-time chart, you can see how this level plays out so perfectly. It's slightly different on both of the charts, 388 on that one and 3934 on this one, but they both show the same thing. This could kind of be considered the overextension to my falling channel, but this is the all-time pattern. So this plays more weight here. So the 3934 is ultimately what we have to hold, and then we could have a push up to here to about the 436, but that is to be determined. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. If you got anything out of this update, make sure to hit that like button. Share this on social media so more people join. Consider joining Tom's Army. That's in the video description below and the pinned comment below. You can find out all about that. And then if you want to trade XRP in the USA, I've got 3 great options for you. One, you don't even need a VPN and there's no spot fees for the buy or sell in the USA, and that's MEXC. The other one is BITGET, but if you're a new user, you might need to use a VPN, and I don't advise that. That's why we have MEXC as well. But there's also no buy or sell spot fees on the buy and sell. UPHOLD, you don't need a VPN in the USA, and you can buy XRP and your ISO coins as well. It's just there's higher spot fees, and I endorse to do something else. That's why I have MEXC and or BITGET. And that's all in the video description below and or the pinned comment. Hashtag be better, do better. And remember, help one person each and every day. Because if I don't do my part and you don't do your part, what the hell is the point on this great journey? And hashtag the FUD stops here, because no one needs bullshit on their day-to-day learning experience.